Today you will learn about the murders committed by Colin Pitchfork and how he cunningly tried to avoid detection, but was still caught. Colin was born in March 1960 in the village of Newbold Verdon, Leicestershire, UK, into an ordinary family. The father worked, the mother took care of the house. Pitchfork also had an older sister and a younger brother. At school he was not popular with his classmates. The boy matured quickly and was ridiculed because of this. In 1976, Pitchfork got a job as an apprentice at the local Hampshire Baker bakery. He worked there until his arrest. The guy learned quickly, grasping all the intricacies of the confectionery craft on the fly. He especially liked baking and decorating cakes. His products were in constant demand. Pitchfork eventually even began to think about opening his own business making cakes, pastries, and various pastries. But if the young man was a wonderful worker, the same could not be said about his behavior. As his manager later recalled, Pitchfork always chatted with women and could not leave them alone. To call a spade, the guy did not give way to the female workers and constantly pestered them. It got to the point that in 1981 he was detained for indecent behavior and placed for treatment at the Carlton Hayes Psychiatric Hospital in Narborough. That same year, 81, Pitchfork was released. Then he married and moved to Littlethorpe. This marriage produced 2 sons, in 1983 and 1986. On November 21, 1983, 15-year-old Linda Mann did not return home. The parents immediately contacted the police, and the very next day, November 22, the girl was found on a footpath running between the cemetery and the Hayes Psychiatric Hospital. Yes, the same one. Linda was raped and strangled. Apparently, the girl wanted to get home faster and turned off the usual road to shorten the path. The only thing the experts could say was that the killer had blood type and an enzyme profile corresponding to only 10% of men. The investigation had nothing else at its disposal, neither evidence nor witnesses. The matter has come to a standstill. On July 31, 1986, 15-year-old Dawn Ashworth, living in Enderby, did not return home from her friend. By evening, the parents raised the alarm and contacted the police. The girl was found 2 days later. She was lying in a small forest near a walking path. She was treated exactly the same as Linda Mann. The criminal apparently believed in himself so much that he didn't even bother to clean up his tracks. An examination of the samples left behind showed the same blood type as in the case of Linda. This time the police had a suspect, a certain Richard Buckland, a local 17-year-old difficult teenager. Under pressure, the guy confessed, but only to the murder of Dawn. He categorically denied the crime against Linda. On September 10, 1984, British geneticist Alec Jeffreys discovered the DNA fingerprinting method, which is now used to solve both new and old crimes, as well as to establish kinship. Nowadays, DNA testing won't surprise anyone, but back then it was something completely unusual. The police, who had already heard about Jeffreys' discovery, turned to him for help. The geneticist compared the marks left on the girls with each other. They were identical. Then Jeffreys compared these traces with Buckland's blood and came to the conclusion that the young man had nothing to do with either crime. The detectives at first did not believe these findings and sent the material for retesting to the laboratory of the Ministry of Internal Affairs, by which time they had already mastered the new method. The answer was exactly the same. Buckland was released. The young man also became a kind of first. He was the first to be cleared of suspicion based on the results of a DNA examination. Leicestershire police have urged all local men to come forward for further DNA fingerprinting. About 5,000 people responded, but it did not bring any results. However, soon a certain Ian Kelly, who worked with Pitchfork, told friends in the pub that Colin asked to donate blood for him and paid £200 for it. Pitchfork explained the request by saying that he had previously come to the attention of the police due to indecent behavior and now did not want to be persecuted again. A woman overheard this conversation and reported to the police, according to other sources. Kelly himself came there and told the law enforcement officers everything. Be that as it may, Colin Pitchfork was arrested on September 19, 1987. DNA fingerprinting confirmed that it was he who left the traces at the crime scenes on January 21, 1988. Pitchfork was sentenced to 2 life sentences with a minimum term of 30 years, later reduced by 2 years. During his imprisonment, the man studied Typhlopedagogy, the science of education and training of people with visual impairments, and learned to create sculptures from paper. In April 2009, one of his sculptures was exhibited at the Royal Festival Hall, but after protests and outrage raised in the media, Pitchfork's work was removed. Cullen Pitchfork applied for parole 3 times, in 2016 and 2018. He was refused, but in 2021, the request was granted, despite a counter-request from the Minister of Justice to review such a decision. On September 1, 2021, Pitchfork was released. The man did not have to enjoy his freedom for long. In November, the decision on release was revoked and Pitchfork was returned back. They were motivated by the fact that he came close to women near the hostel, and this is prohibited under the terms of his release. In the fall of 2022, the issue of Pitchfork's re-release was to be decided. Either he would be denied released or transferred to an open prison. There is no news yet, although autumn is coming to an end. Naturally, the public is against Pitchfork being free. Dawn Ashworth's mother, Barbara, said she was glad it was closed and now girls and women are away from it.